All right, hello and welcome to a new training video. This will be about generating a lead form once we get the information from Facebook. So this is the main lead list here. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down there. Once you have all this basic information, you're going to simply input all this information into this. That way, when I print it out, this is kind of generally speaking what it's going to look like. We're going to know the home value based on very low ballpark numbers, $20,000 in repairs for almost every house. That includes grass, fence, paint, um, minor wall repairs, just some very minor repairs. You'd have to tack on or lower the number after that. There is 8% closing fees, so it automatically adjusts all of these numbers based on what you put in for the home value. So 8% in closing fees, real estate agent costs, any title fees, insurance fees, etc., etc. Could be up to 10%, but again, ballpark. And 15% investor profit. So all of these numbers should be taken into account that lowers the value of the home for a potential investor to buy it. Now, since we're wholesaling, we need a 10% wholesaler's commission. Generally speaking, could be more, preferably not less. So that would basically be 10% of this amount right here, which would be about basically $18,000. So you see 18,000 minus 178,000. That's that amount. We get a purchase date right here. We're gonna have to physically type that in. Purchase price. We're gonna physically type in. Mortgage taken. We're gonna physically type in from Deal Machine. Home data we'll have on the main spreadsheet here. So we're going to see the home data, lots of information there. But home data is going to be right here. So how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how many square foot. We enter that simple home data so we know the homeowner's name, the basic home data, and we're good to go. This is the most of the information that we need. But for verifiable comps when we're on the phone, so we don't look dumb, we don't look stupid, we know exactly what we're talking about, and we have the address to back it up and to prove it, we have the data down here. So this is the Zillow comparables, comparable properties. This is the Zillow link for this address, so the Zillow link for this address, the Redfin link for this address right here, and the Trulia link, which I don't have on here, but it's good to have three examples there. So you can go ahead and check the square footage and verify everything matches up just with these websites. Usually it's available, otherwise you just have to ask the homeowner via email, call, or text. So once you have the comparables, now you need to actually see and verify comparable properties. And this is the information that you'd be inputting here. So comparable properties, preferably you'd go to, let's just use this lead as an example. He does not have a Redfin. So you just highlight all of this, paste, and generally speaking, thankfully Google takes out the icons that don't belong there. We're going to scroll down, click on Redfin for the address, paste the address again, make sure it's the right address, Spruce Street, Northeast Salem, Oregon. There we go. All right, so now we have the Redfin estimate, last sold price. So it last sold for $108,000. That's good. Redfin estimate is $255,000. That's basically what I have on here. Um, you can put this amount, or you can actually do what the square footage is times the average sell price in the area square foot, which we'll talk about later, and I'll show you the difference. So to start, you're going to look at comparable properties to this property. So with Redfin, it actually makes it relatively easy. You're going to scroll down. You're going to see that there's been no sales recently. So it's still this longtime homeowner who contacted us through our lead generation on Facebook. Once you scroll down here, you're going to basically get an A/B comparison test. Now, what you want to do is you want to compare, if it's 1,300 square foot, you want plus or minus 10%. So 1,300 square foot plus or minus 10% is plus or minus 150 square foot. So if our lead is 1,350, that means 1,500 square feet down to 1,200 square feet. So we only want to look at properties. This is where we're at right here with the icon. We only want to look at properties that are 1,200 square foot to 1,500 square foot. And this property is also 3 bedroom, 1 bath. So we want to make sure that we're still around that basic criteria. So 3 bedroom, 1 bath, but that square footage is not 1,200. 2 bedroom, 1 bath, that's one less bedroom, and it's not big enough. So these are not comparable properties. That's C and D. So C and D. Let's go over to B. So B is comparable. It is 3 bedroom, 1 bath, the exact same, 1,384 square foot. It is substantially lower sold in December because they most likely sold it as is. So we don't really want to compare that because that is obviously a very discounted price and most likely a troubled house. You don't even have a photo of the house as an example. So that's not necessarily a retail price, fixed up, market ready house price. So let's go over here to A, and that's not enough square foot. Let's go to E. We have E and F down here. So E, F, bingo. So this is, we want to be 1,200 to 1,500 square foot, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. So it has one extra bathroom, which means this value might be a little high just because it has an extra bathroom, something to consider. So you'd simply hold down Control, open this up into a new window so you can copy paste the information. This one, I could not find a third, so I went ahead and used this one as another comparable property. Even though the square footage is much lower, this price would basically need to be higher. Looks like it might need a new roof and stuff on there too. All right, so we go down to C. Let's scroll through all of them real quick, make sure we have all the properties. Laurel, Broadway, Hickory, 2 bed, 1 bath, 3 bed, 1 bath. So the only other choice really is to choose this property and take into account that this price should be higher because it is lower square footage. Higher square footage gets higher price, and we'll go over that later as well. So now we have three comparables. If you could only find one or two, that's fine, but preferably if you could find at least three, even if you're squeezing the numbers a little bit, try to stay close to the numbers as possible. So we're going to go in and we're going to simply double click, get rid of the HTML, and we're going to add in the address right here, and then the price. It's already set up for you. 272,284, bedrooms 3, bathrooms 2, square foot 1,298, and then it automatically populates cost per square foot. So we're all done with that property, the comparable. So we're going to look at the next comparable. Triple click, remove the HTML, and that's 224,196. That would be 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and 1,012 square foot. So that's 220 cost per square foot. You're starting to see a trend here. What really matters when you boil all this math down is how much does the home cost per square foot of livable space. This is the number that you could use to multiply to find out what your real um, lead and deal, what the potential home value is worth, as long as it's comparables when you consider new hardwood floor. Looks like new hardwood floor was put into this property. So those are things to consider. If your property doesn't have hardwood floor and you want to get this price, well, per square foot, then, well, you might want to actually get hardwood floor and put that in. So that would be part of your remodel construction budget. It's only about $5,000, depends on how big the house is. Not too big of a deal. So anyways, comparable property number 3. So close with 2, and we just do the exact same thing for number 3. 234039, 3 bed, 1 bath, 948 square foot. Now, even though we're settling for 948 square foot, you can start to see that this price, this house, way oversold, much more expensive of a price tag because the square foot is not very big. You're missing 400 square foot compared to our property. Our property is 1359. So it's missing 400 square foot, but it's still sold for 230. And the sell date was recent, I believe, which lets us know the current market's level. February 2020, 1 month ago, houses in this area are selling for way over 200 square foot if it's the right house. You know, red door, that looks tacky, but it's still sold, so that's good for them. So we have three averages now. The average, if you highlight all three, relatively speaking, is 226. So we're going to input the data for here now, which is from our lead sheet. We got the Zillow and the Redfin that would help us add in here. If not, you could just Google the address and that'll show it to you as well. So you just add in those links right there. So we want to find out the square footage that we got from the lead in the lead form. 1359, one bathroom, 3 bedrooms. Now the total home value, we can estimate this now. The total home value would be square footage times 220. And wow, that's really high. So the reason that we're getting that is because it has a decent square footage right here, and we got 210, 220. Let's go ahead and lower it just to be safe, and let's say square footage of 200. That brings us to 270,000, which is equivalent to this property right here. Even though it has one extra bathroom, it's kind of lower on the square footage. We might need to even lower it a little bit more. Maybe we could be comfortable with 190. That would bring us to the 255,000 we saw before. But potentially, because people are currently selling for over 220, up to 250 if you have a good remodel house. We could go, you know, up to 200 at least. So we have $200 per square foot, a decent amount of square footage, and this is technically the estimate that we're having now. Um, that leaves us with a commission here of about 10%, about $19,000 commission on flipping this property to an investor. The investor will make $40,000. They're going to pay $20,000 in closing fees, maybe $20,000 in repairs, and there you go, win-win. So if you can get this price, this is the price you would need to negotiate with the home seller, then you're good to go. If you can get them down to 160, you get an extra $10,000. Extra $10,000 needs to go to repairs. This needs to go down to 160. Extra $20,000 in repairs for $40,000 total. You need to bring this price down to $150,000. So now you have all of the data in front of you printed out on a sheet of paper that allows you to negotiate with the seller with much more confidence. Because you need to be able to show them that you're a force to be reckoned with and instill confidence within them. All right, so we have the purchase date. We're going to get this information, copy here, from Deal Machine. So map view, paste. We want to make sure it's Oregon. Then we already have it, but this is where you would click Add Seller, and then you would type hashtag Facebook lead because it's a lead from Facebook. All right, so we have all of that information input, but what are we doing now? Well, what we're doing now is we're adding the purchase date. So we're just right here. So sale information, November 26th, 2003. You can just copy paste this over here. And what was the purchase price? You could just triple click and copy paste the purchase price. And what was the mortgage taken out if it shows up? The mortgage taken out most likely in 2003 was $102,000, $102,600. Basically $102,000 for the mortgage. Now some quick math, 17 years, mortgages, so he took some money out, purchase price, mortgage, he put a very minimal, maybe 3% down, FHA loan possibly. So he has a mortgage of $102,600. We're going to divide that by 30 years for a 30-year mortgage. Then we're going to divide that by 12 months, and that's how much his monthly mortgage payment is. Now, if we multiply this again by 12 months in a year, and then we multiply that by 17 years, that means that he's paid off $58,000 from his mortgage. So there would be a good idea to maybe have another column here, mortgage payoff. I'm going to go ahead and include this in the spreadsheet now. And that would basically be $58,000. And on paper, if needed, we can scratch this out and say, nope, that is incorrect. The current mortgage payoff is a different number. Scratch it off and put the correct number next to it, but this is our safe estimate. So again, when we're talking to the home seller on the phone, we could let them know, hey, with our estimates, you've paid off about $58,000 of your mortgage, which means you probably still have about $60,000 left to pay. Oh, sorry, 45. You probably have $45,000 left on your mortgage to pay off. Does that sound correct? Uh, and then you have their name, everything to be able to speak and communicate with them appropriately. And that's what we're going to go ahead and do right now. So it's a simple copy paste from the spreadsheet. Full name. How many days would they like to sell? They'd like to sell within 60 days. And what's the street address? What's this? Okay, paste. There we go. What's the city and state? City and state. What's the phone number? What is the email? We don't want to click the link. There we go. Paste. There we go. And what was the lead source? That would be a Facebook lead form. You may not have access to that information. We'll try to find a way that we could streamline that a little bit better. Maybe I'll add another column. All right. So then once all of that information is in, we're good to go. I could print it out and it will look just like this when it prints out. And I'll be able to write in any call notes such as initiated introductory text. Um, Homeowner responded via email, says would prefer to talk over the phone. Talk to homeowner of the phone, says they would prefer to talk over text. Um, Homeowner agreed to price of $150,000. Uh, all the notes for the call can go down here, and there's plenty of extra space for scribbling or for math or for what goes on in the call. So this is basically the lead form sheet that we'll be using on our phone calls to make sure the call goes smoothly. So if they have any questions, and they could say like, oh, well, how did you, find comparable properties? Okay, well, we checked with the local MLS, local real estate sales, and we just noticed because they're public records that this house, 1440 Hickory Street. I don't know if you know that that sold recently. It sold for 181 square foot, 210 square foot, 220 square foot. And basically, with this data, we can let the homeowner know with confidence what houses are actually selling for in that area. Um, but also let them know, coronavirus, certain things that are potentially happening right now that could also lower that price. And we'll know our numbers completely. So we'll be able to know the 70% value, which is $20,000 in repairs, uh, $8,000 closing fees, that this amount's going to the investor. And this is basically just a straight bottom line 70% value, which kind of includes a 15% investor fee, 8%, and maybe, depending on the house price, a little bit of wiggle room for repairs there, and then 10% commission there. So we definitely want to be under this price. There is wiggle room, but at least we have the math over here to find out what the wiggle room is. That might be a little bit too in-depth for this video. This video really is simply about going from this spreadsheet and putting the information into a lead form file. This is the old school way of doing a CRM. Um, Basically, just a simple customer file. Also, over here, since we're using Excel Online, that way we can easily update stuff if needed as a team. If you copy and paste from one form, it might show up blue like this, or the link, stuff like that. Go to Clear and go to Clear Formats. That will remove all the formats. You don't want to clear the text, clear all, clear contents. You want to clear the formats. That basically puts it back to a white background, black font, 11 Calibri. Alrighty. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down below. If you got anything useful from this video, give it a like if you haven't given it a like already. And yeah, hopefully you found this informative and thorough on how to transfer customer data and create a lead sheet. Have a great day.